So where I live, it's that time of year where it's getting cold out, and we have some older windows in the home, some newer ones, but nonetheless, there's cold air that definitely comes through. And so to help with that, there is a product from Frost King that is essentially a plastic sheet that goes over the window to help seal it in. So it's pretty simple to install, which I'll show you today. But the product comes with two-sided tape and the plastic shrink wrap that goes over the trim of the window, around the window. You'll need scissors to cut the double-sided tape and the shrink wrap. I have a paper towel and just a cleaning solution to clean the trim around the window to make it as dust-free as possible for the double stick tape to stick to. An extension cord, a hair dryer which shrinks the shrink wrap, and then I have a little blade to help remove the plastic from the double side tape so that we could adhere the plastic to that. So let me show you what we're working with. This is the window we're working with. Pretty simple. Step number one is to remove the curtain rod and curtains. Step two is to get your paper towel and cleaning solution and clean the trim around the window to get ready for the tape. Step three is to get your tape and start to put it around the perimeter of the window on the trim, and I'll show you a couple pointers that's helpful when doing that. So let me show you a couple considerations. On this particular window, you have the left trim that goes all the way up, and then you have the top trim that goes across, and then the right trim that goes down. The double stick tape is perfect for that because you just go up, over, and down. And what I do on the corners is I overlap the tape so there's no gaps. When you get down here, you do have a horizontal piece where where this trim piece is on the window. And so there's a couple options. You can break the tape on this trim right on the bottom and start a new piece. What I'm going to try to do is keep it continuous all the way down and fold it over this rounded corner and then overlap a piece this way and do the same on each side. I'll show you another window configuration where it would be a little easier. Say if you had a style like this, you got the trim, same kind of configuration on the right and left, but then you come down and then it just 90s across so you can overlap the bottom like you do the top. Some delicious cookies for later. So depending on your style, just try to think about the optimal way to do your tape, the double stick tape, so that you have as little gaps as possible. So that way most of the air stays within the plastic and doesn't creep out anywhere. So I'll put the tape on this window now. To get it really good in that corner, have a little plastic card from homework just to squeeze it in there as solid as I can. And press it in as hard as you can. This tape doesn't always stick as great as you'd think. So for the top corners, I'm going to take my little blade and go peel back the wrapping on the double stick tape. Peel it back just a couple inches so that way I can take the double stick tape for the horizontal, or yeah, the left to right piece on the top trim and overlap that double stick tape. Step 4 is to take the plastic wrap and cut it the size. Thing here is you want to make sure you have about an inch or 2-inch overhang, or at least an inch on each side of the plastic, so that you're not short on any side of the window. Step 5, I think we're on 5. Now that you have your plastic to size, you're going to start to remove the wrap on the double stick tape to adhere the plastic to it. Before I do that, I make sure all the double stick tape is sealed to the window trim. This tape, it's not the best to work with, but I like to make sure any gap or air pocket is not there so that we don't have any issues when we put the plastic on. So I'll do that, and then what I do is I remove the wrap on the double stick tape on the left side and the right side and the upper before I do the bottom, and then so I can work my way down without having the plastic stick to the tape and kind of just throw me off. So that's what I'll do now. I tell you, some of the hardest things in life are supposed to be simple, like removing the wrapper of double stick tape. Why is it so hard? Anyways, step 6 is to shrink wrap the plastic. And so for this, you use a blow dryer. You put it on the hot setting or warm setting. I keep it on hot. You obviously don't want to directly put the blow dryer on the plastic because you will melt it. The idea here is to just take some of the wrinkles out of the plastic so it's more taut and looks better. You don't want to go too tight because it will put too much stress or pressure on the double stick tape, and the double stick tape will ultimately peel off the trim. I don't know if you saw, but when I was removing some of the wrapper, some of the double stick tape started coming off the trim, so we'll see if that holds for this application or if I'm going to have to redo it, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's essentially the process. I can see a little bit more of where I'm going to want to use the hair dryer, but that's essentially the process. After this, you trim the excess plastic off the window, and that's it. You can definitely feel a difference in the draft. It really does work. A little annoying, but pretty simple. I think the weakest part of this process in this application was the bottom right and left corners, where you have that perpendicular trim piece, the horizontal and the vertical ones coming together, and you have to sort of change direction of the tape. That 90-degree corner is the weakest spot because the tape really wants to pull off. So I don't know if there's any suggestions on how to do that better, but that's essentially the application. So I will wrap up here, put the curtains back on, and call it a day.